Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a really big question, one that applies way beyond just the topic at hand. In a market full of competitors, how do you actually stand out? What makes you different?
Right. And our source material for this is pretty interesting. It's a recording from a show called DJ Roundtable. The host, Buddy Miller, got a bunch of DJs together from all over the U.S. to talk about exactly this.
Yeah, a really diverse group, too. We've got folks from the East Coast, West Coast, North, South, Midwest, places like Atlanta, Chicago, LA, Orange County.
North and South Carolina, upstate New York, Wisconsin, Ohio. I mean, it's a proper geographical spread. Gives you a real sense of the different scenes.
Absolutely. And you can tell Buddy's goal was to help these DJs, carve out their own space, especially if they're in areas where there's just tons of competition.
So our mission here is to kind of unpack that, to pull out the actual strategy, the different ways these DJs are making themselves memorable.
Okay, let's get into it. We'll start down in Atlanta with Sean. He really kicks things off focusing on marketing, specifically that online presence.
Yeah, Sean's point is pretty clear. In a hot market like Atlanta, you have to have your online game sorted. It's not optional. He's talking SEO, a slick professional website, being active on social media.
He made a great comparison, didn't he, about pitching for a big corporate gig, like a $17,000 event.
Exactly. Sending a proper pitch deck versus, just firing off a casual message on Facebook. It really highlights that need for professionalism.
It totally sets the tone, right? How
Yeah.
you first appear online can make or break getting those higher value clients. He also talked about finding a niche, didn't he? Like adding a photo booth.
Uh-huh. And not just finding a niche, but trying to create trends. Be proactive, not just reactive. Don't just follow what everyone else is doing.
That's an interesting angle. And he warned against getting sucked into those price wars you see online, like in Facebook groups.
Yeah, big time. His argument was about showing your value. Like, he mentioned having a two-person team, one handles the coordination, the MC stuff, while the other focuses purely on the DJing. That elevates the whole experience.
It's shifting that conversation away from how cheap can I get it to what am I actually getting. But he did admit, actually getting noticed online, cutting through all that noise. That's still tough.
Definitely a challenge. Okay, so let's move over to North Carolina now and hear from Jeff. His take is a bit different.
Right. Jeff wasn't so much about trying to be radically different, but more about honing in on one specific thing he does really well.
Which is video DJing.
PJing.
Yeah. And he talked about how that visual element, especially playing older music videos, like from the 80s or 90s, really connects with certain crowds, creates that nostalgic vibe.
Uh-huh. It adds another layer, doesn't it? Beyond just the sound. And, by focusing on that specific skill, video DJing, that becomes his differentiator.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to force it. And he also mentioned really reading the room, playing the stuff people want to hear, mixing in those older favorites with the new hits, not just sticking to the charts. That audience connection.
Crucial. Okay, let's head down to South Carolina. Hunter offers yet another perspective.
Hunter's strategy seems, well, more personal maybe, more focused, leveraging his own network, family, friends, church connections.
Yeah, and his setup reflects that too. Not some huge, complex rig. He talked about being compact, mobile-friendly. Mentioned a rock booth sounds solid and specific gear, like a Newmark Mixstream Pro. Easy to manage.
And keeping the look clean, simple. Some subtle lighting under the speakers, nothing too flashy.
It suggests a model built around, reliability and personal trust within a specific community. Probably lower overheads too, more flexibility.
And musically,
Right.
focusing on clean edits, a wide range from the 50s up to now, often using actual CDs. There's a certain reliability in that too.
Okay, let's jump across the country, West Coast. Matt in Orange County, California.
Matt's approach sounds pretty focused. Specific music style EDM, high energy dance weddings, and then backing that up with really high-end presentation and gear.
Right, he mentioned having this beautiful white setup, very aesthetically pleasing, and investing in top-tier sound, like acoustic subwoofers, known for being really clean and powerful rather than just standard systems.
That visual and audio quality is clearly a big part of his brand. And he even mentioned the small stuff like cable management.
Zip ties.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeping everything tidy. It all adds up to that professional image. He talked about curating a whole vibe, making it feel like a production, not just someone playing songs.
And customer service was key for him too, especially comparing himself to the big multi-op companies. That direct contact, being responsive, flexible, that's his edge.
Definitely. Okay, staying in Southern California but moving slightly north, we have Joe. He brings a ton of experience.
Joe's got a lot going on. He starts with something simple but smart, always asking clients how they found him, gathering that intel.
And he's big on continuous learning, going to industry events like Mobile Beat, DJ Expo, networking.
Plus, he's accredited Toastmaster. That's a serious advantage for emceeing, right? Having actual public speaking training.
Huge. And he adds architectural lighting expertise to that. Knows how to use lighting to really transform a space, not just throw some colors up.
He seems to blend different worlds, too. He mentioned his long club residencies, like 13 years, 11 years.
That shows serious consistency and skill, doesn't it? Being able to hold down club gigs for that long. But then he applies that experience to weddings and events. Versatility.
And understanding client priorities, like down to the details. He mentioned monograms as an example. Plus, he offers video DJing, too.
He's got a strategic mind. Targeted marketing mentioned quinceañeras briefly and actively networking with other DJs for referrals, building those relationships.
He also touched on working for other companies sometimes, but still maintaining his own brand professionally. That's a tricky balance.
It is. And he uses digital media cards instead of old school business cards. Smart little modern touch.
And the family aspect, his wife and daughter helping with the photo booth, that adds a nice personal element, builds trust. Okay, let's head to the Midwest. Brenly in Wisconsin.
Brenly's angle involves sincerity in his emceeing, leveraging connections with major local venues, and constantly upgrading his gear.
Yeah, he talked about sounding genuine, referencing people like Mark Farrell, known for MC training. And his regular gigs are at pretty high-profile places, right? Near the Packers Stadium, big EDM club.
Yeah.
That gives him visibility.
Definitely lends credibility. He described himself as an open-format college party bar DJ, but adaptable for weddings, playing clean versions, reading the crowd. Knowing his ideal customer seems key for him.
And getting on those preferred vendor lists at venues, that's gold.
Huge advantage. And he really emphasized investing back into the business, listing off recent gear purchases, bath lighting, uplights, moving heads, even spark machines and Portman lights, keeping things fresh and exciting.
He's also active in local Facebook groups, but not just chasing cheap gigs, building wider brand awareness.
And being full-time gives him the bandwidth to really focus on SEO marketing. He mentioned having a Mixcloud link so people can actually hear his mixing skills.
Plus, those public club gigs act like live auditions for potential clients. Smart. Okay, now over to Ohio, Dwayne's perspective.
Dwayne's message is really about authenticity, just doing you, finding your lane, and leveraging what makes you unique.
And his unique background is pretty distinct. He's a music teacher.
Exactly. So that brings a whole different skill set. Show production, organization, experience with theater, music editing. Skills maybe not every DJ has. A very different foundation.
He believes in letting those qualities speak for themselves online and in focusing on understanding the client first in conversations, not just selling himself.
And I liked his positive take on the Cleveland DJ scene collaboration, not just competition. That's a healthy attitude.
Definitely. Okay, last stop, upstate New York with Chris.
Chris has a very clear differentiator. Foam parties.
Yeah, you can't miss that one. But his overall philosophy is summed up in his D&D acronym.
Diversify in detail.
Right. So diversification for him means not just DJing, but getting into stage production, helping other DJs out, always learning.
And the detail part is about being meticulous. Whether it's a wedding, a Sweet 16, or one of those foam parties, he knows referrals come from doing great work.
The foam parties are obviously the big, unique selling point. He went into quite a bit of detail about the setup, too. Trussing, safety.
Yeah, weight distribution, safety cones. He clearly takes the technical and safety aspects very seriously, especially mixing water and electricity. He mentioned the high insurance costs, too.
It's not just fun and games. There's real complexity and risk involved. He acknowledged it's been slow but steady growth for that side of the business.
So listening to all these different approaches, one thing really stands out, doesn't it?
Continuous learning, absolutely. So many of them mentioned taking classes, going to seminars, staying updated.
Even the ones who are maybe self-taught initially, they still see the value in seeking out new knowledge, not getting complacent.
Yeah.
Buddy Mueller himself mentioned taking a sound class recently.
Yeah, nobody thinks they know everything. And it was funny hearing them reminisce about the old gear.
Oh, yeah. The Hogan lights with gels, those clunky light controllers, giant soundboards.
Remembering how far things have come, cable management wasn't exactly a priority back then, was it?
Not quite. Those stories about melting chapstick on the hot bulbs or those dangerous metal bars on the old stands.
It paints a picture, shows the evolution. Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, We've heard just a huge variety of ways DJs are setting themselves apart.
Totally. From nailing the online stuff and finding a niche market to mastering specific skills like video or offering something totally unique like foam parties.
Plus the importance of that personal touch, great service, always learning, building networks, and just really leaning into what makes you, well, you. Your background, your passions.
There really isn't one magic bullet, is there? It's about figuring out your own specific mix.
Exactly. Which leads to our final thought for you, the listener. Forget DJs for a second. Think about your own field, whatever it is you do. What's your unique mix? What combination of skills, personality, experience, and offerings makes you stand out? That's something to think about.
Good food for thought. Until next time.